Hey guys, and welcome to Tales from Anvil, the podcast where we share stories, insights, and adventures from the world of Empire LARP. Whether you're a seasoned citizen of the Empire, someone who's just thinking about giving LARP a try, or someone who has no idea what any of that means, you're genuinely welcome here.
Each episode, we're going to be sharing our own experiences, whether they're good, awkward, or just completely nonsensical. And we'll also be looking to invite guests onto the podcast as well from across the community to share some of their stories as well. So if you've ever looked at something like Empire and thought, that looks amazing, but it might not be for me, well, hopefully this will make you realise that it might well be.
So think of this as pulling up a chair by the campfire. Grab a drink and welcome to Tales from Anvil.
Guys, I'm just saying this for everyone's benefit, but as the episodes go, we're getting a lot better at this.
Yeah. It's like we have it right in front of us and should be able to read.
Positive. I'm always jealous every time we record because Cian, you always go the extra mile, and even if we're not in our kit, you're always drinking out of some fanciful mug.
Yeah,
whereas
man.
all of my drinking kit for Empire is in a box under several other boxes, and every week I'm like, I'm not getting that out.
No, that's fair.
There. Well, I just have them around because I drink out of them normally. Though, to be honest, the copper is not the best to be drinking out of.
I mean, the way the light is reflecting off it, though, is incredible. You look almost angelic with some angles there. It's amazing. And
I've lost this about 4 times in Anvil, so it might not even be mine.
Well, welcome everybody. For those of you that caught the last episode, this week is going to be an especially long episode, we think. This week we're going to be doing a new player's guide to Empire. So we're going to run through a lot of the basics, hopefully to answer a lot of the questions that you might be asking yourselves now if you're looking to come to Empire. So yeah, buckle up because we're probably going to be here for a good hour or so yet. So we've got lots of topics, lots of things that we're going to be kind of discussing our own experiences when we first came to Anvil as well. So yeah, enjoy. So Cian, I believe you're kicking us off.
Am I with the camping? Yes.
Yeah. So camping first of all, I think.
So now, I've done both types of camping for Empire LARP. There is the out of character camping, which is you go to a field nearby or like within like a 10-minute walk. This is probably going to change in the new site. It's probably going to be a lot further. And you have a normal tent, like the tents behind me at the moment. And like there's people who have their cars out and people who have their barbecue set out. And it is more of a proper festival kind of camping setup. This is good if you want like to have your own space completely outside of anything you're doing in Anvil. If you want a place where you're
like a lot of people I know, there's a place to just get away and decompress for a couple of hours.
Also, it is the cheaper option. You can get better tents for a better price if they're not looking like they need to for in-character camping, which I'll talk about in a second. Also, like if you have a camper van or like if you have stuff that you want to keep in your car, that's probably the way to go for you. It is having having your camp outside of Anvil, outside of the action, and it's not it doesn't have to look like it fits in with the world, which has its advantages. The main disadvantage that I found when doing it is you are ages away from everything. And you kind of feel like you have to bring everything with you and drop it off somewhere, usually a friend's tent. Like when I first went, I was, even though I was camped very close to dawn, it was a pain getting like snacks, getting food, getting my equipment back and forth from the tent. And then the second time I was camping with someone else and they were miles away. Not real miles away, but ages away. It was a good 20-minute walk from the Emerald Lance like tent setup, their camp, and where I was camped. So it was just like just an absolute pain. While when camping in character, which is what I'm doing at the moment, I got up and would straight beam Anvil. you're straight away, you are in the action of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get some, you don't have to feel like you have to bring everything with you, because you can leave it in the tent. Now, there is some caveats with this. You are in the middle of the action, so if it's going to be loud, it's going to be loud. It is harder to decompress because there are things around you constantly going on. I feel like those are the main ones. Also, in the old side, it was hard to get into in-character camping because there was limited amount of space. Hopefully, this will be fixed with the new site, since it's bigger. It's 5 acres bigger than the Vatican, so like we should be fine on space.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I think one thing that's important to mention when it comes to out-of-character camping, there are no restrictions in terms of equipment, but they do run a first-come, first-served pitch system. So if you are looking to out-of-character camp and you are wanting to get close to Anvil, my recommendation would be go on the Thursday, turn up early on the Thursday, sit in the car for half an hour before they open the gates, and get in and get to where you want to pitch your tent early, because if you come on the Friday in the afternoon, you will find that you will be out on the outskirts of where the out-of-character camping is, and then you will be up for that 20-minute walk to get into the actual thing, which is fine. But as Cian mentioned, you will find over the course of the weekend that you will be going back and forth from your tent naturally anyway. You might, for example, have a certain amount of layers on and kit on, and the weather will change and get warmer, but you can't drop it anywhere because you don't know anyone because you're new. It's just to bear those things in mind. The other element when it comes to out-of-character camping that I found, it is also quieter. You will find that the out-of-character areas, though people will still make some noise, which is natural in a festival environment, you will also find that those areas are typically a bit quieter, so you might get a bit of a better night's sleep with a lot less noise. When you're in Anvil, you're subjected to all the noise and joys of it until the noise stops, effectively, regardless of where your tent is.
Like, they kind of say that like you're meant to be quiet around 1 or 2 in the morning, but like not everyone goes by that. And you know what? Fair. People are paying money to be at a festival. They want to talk all night. They want to. So like there will be noise throughout Anvil, but you are right. In the out-of-character area, it is a lot quieter. You were gonna say something, John?
I was gonna say, technically with the 1 o'clock thing, it's not just about being quieter. Like they literally say, technically time out is at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So technically, after that point, you're not supposed to be in character, but that's also like telling people stop playing pretend. Like you're not gonna. People are gonna keep doing it if they want to.
Yeah. And it's a lot of different things. And like, but to be honest, when we come to in-character camping, you do need a canvas tent that needs to look. It needs to look fantasy-esque. It needs to look like it suits Anvil. These canvas tents can be a bit colder. They can be a bit more annoying. And they are just more expensive. A tip that I would give to people, and it's pretty useless now, but it will be useful at the end of the summer, is all the bell tent companies that rent out bell tents. Most of them sell off their entire stock.
Yeah, after 1 year as well. It's usually after one season.
So if you want to get a good second-hand bell tent, you want to get it right after the summer stops. And then you'll probably get one for a lot cheaper than what I paid for mine.
Yeah, so when it comes to in-character camping as well, although bell tents are expensive, what I would recommend if you are looking to in-character camp, find a buddy, find a pal, find somebody like that you want to play the game with if you can and you have that option, and potentially look at splitting that cost. It is an option for you. I will also say when it comes to in-character camping, the way to do that, if you want to do it, each nation has their own camp planning committee. Usually you will find that the links for camp planning will be put on Facebook or in the that specific nation's Discord channel. If you're looking to in-character camp, you would just submit a Microsoft form for how big the tent is, where you want to kind of be placed, are there any amenities that you need access to quickly, that sort of thing, and the camp planning team will then figure out where in the field your tent's going to be.
And the sooner you do that, the better. Like, our group has already submitted our one, and Empire is a good few weeks away.
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Well, six weeks at the weekend there, so a little less now.
Yeah. And then there's the basic camping stuff.
Recorded.
Yeah. And there's the basic camping stuff, you know. The thing about LARP is it is camping. So if you really don't like camping, there is other options. Like you could get an Airbnb, you could get a hotel, and they will be more expensive. The more area you put between yourself and the ground using like what you call them, camp beds or air mattresses, the better. And you know, basic camping things, get a good solid what are they called?
Camp bed, mattress,
sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Good solid sleeping bag. Even like what if you think it's gonna be really cold, hot water bottle. I know someone was selling hot water specifically because they had a kettle and like they had a stove or something. They were selling hot water specifically for hot water bottles because they thought it was gonna be that cold. So like just think about it like that, and you should be fine.
Yeah.
Any other tips or tricks for camping?
What I would suggest is if you are in character camping and you're bringing, because you're not going to find a thematic cot. You could absolutely find one, but the likelihood is you're going to have a normal camp bed or an air mattress. What I would say is that anything that you have inside your tent, if you're not inviting people in and it's going to just be a closed tent setup, is absolutely fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, to be fair, that was literally what I was going to talk about, but coming at it from the other side, if you're sharing with people and you want it to be thematic still, just get some rugs, like get some, like you can buy like a 30 or 40 quid, like fake fur throw, get some like old looking rugs and just throw it over all of your modern day shit. Like the Lance camp area, like I'm sure loads of other Lances do this as well. Not everyone is going out and buying collapsible wooden chairs. So what people do is they take a regular modern day camp chair and throw a blanket over it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You can't see the modern.
Yeah. And again, you can do that relatively cheap. I found on Facebook Marketplace somebody was reclothing their snooker table and had another 2 snooker tables worth of green cloth that they were selling. So I was like, and I got it for £5. Like a huge, big thing of green cloth, and I was like, that'll do. I will just throw that over chairs and tables and benches and shit just to hide it. Yeah.
Well, on a note for anyone who might not already have like a load of camping equipment, like if you've never camped before and you're looking to maybe do it for Empire, things to consider are going to be the size of your tent. If you're going to camp out of character, then I would highly recommend, if it's just yourself or you're going to like one other person, always get a tent that's a little bit bigger because you're going to have a lot of kit and you're going to need room to get into your kit. So specifically as well, if you can get a quite tall tent, someone that gives you room to stand up, because we have like 3 tents. We don't even camp very often, me and my partner, but we have 3 tents for various reasons. And for some reason I was like, oh, it's just me going to Empire at E4. I'll just take like our smaller tent. And then I had to spend most of my time putting my kit on bent at the waist. Yeah. Whereas we have another tent that is tall enough to stand up in, and the whole time I was like, I wish I brought that one. But so yeah, you're gonna want your tent. Consider getting something a little bit bigger if you have the space for it, and if you have the budget. Get yourself a camp chair, a table, something that you can get yourself ready at. Maybe a little mirror to pack with you. Obviously, get your sleeping bags and blankets. You say hot water ball, stove. If you plan on doing, like, even if you're not planning on cooking for yourself, a camping stove and a kettle is a great way. Like Cian said, hot water is a godsend. Like I didn't bother queuing to use the showers on the site at E4 because it was always busy. So I just had a basin in my tent, hot water body soap, and I would give myself a wash in the tent. It made life so much easier, and I felt fresh every morning. I didn't go in feeling groggy and grimy.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. Obviously, if you're doing it in character, you can do a similar thing, but you can't really use a camp stove because one, you shouldn't be using it in your tent, and you can't use it outside the tent. But if you're camping with a group, or even if you're camping on your own, get a fire pit, get one with a grate and a proper old timey kettle that you can heat over an open fire.
Yeah,
and you can do the same thing.
Just an actually moment. So you're not supposed to use a camping stove in character. However, there are allowances between the hours of 8 and 9 in the morning before time because I've seen so many people pull a camp stove out just to bang a kettle on it. That's totally acceptable to do.
All the restrictions in terms of in-character stuff are technically only applied during time in. Which is, as Dave, as Dan says, it's been a long day. As Dan says, anytime after 9 o'clock is time in up until 1 in the morning, you can't do any of that stuff. But outside of those hours, you can do pretty much whatever you want.
Yeah. I think it's important to mention about some of the facilities on site as well. Yes. So obviously Jordan mentioned about the showers there, Cian.
Yeah, the only thing is we are assuming what facilities we have.
So the ones that I've mentioned, on the ones that I've got noted, will be facilities available at the new site as well. So I've only mentioned about showers being on site, but for now they are kind of the ones on the back of trucks. Ones. Yeah, exactly. Festival showers.
Oh, okay. Oh, great.
And there is so I may as well just go off it. So there are showers on site. At the old site, they were hard-standing showers with full heated showers. For now, at the new site, they will be festival showers. So just be aware they will probably be tepid showers at best.
And busy.
And very busy because they'll be limited. There are toilets in every nation, or near enough in every nation across Anvil, and that includes disabled access toilets. Where there are no hard-standing toilets, there will be festival toilets, both with access ramps for disabled access and co-ed bathrooms and all that kind of stuff. And there is also taps all over the field. So when I say taps... Yeah. I mean literally, there are literal water taps all over the field. In terms of the new site, I don't believe there are as many, but there will be access to water throughout the site all weekend.
I will say, because a friend of mine has Crohn's, and she's found that water is not great for it. If you have some, if the water at the old site wasn't, I always kind of was iffy on it. So if you're any bit iffy about the water, bring your own. That's not me saying anything, that's just my own personal opinion of just
it's piped in water down a hose from a reservoir or whatever. It's not going to be
it's not going to be great.
It's not like house tap water. It's coming from a hose down a field.
It's
drinkable. I drank it for 3 days, but
I also drank it for 3 days, but
if you come away with a sore stomach, it could be any number of things, but the water probably didn't help.
No. It is not Evian, let's be honest. Cool. Anything else we want to mention on camping? I think we've pretty much covered it.
I'm just trying to be careful because next Luna's come to say hi, and I don't want her banging into the mic.
That's all good.
Only other thing is
I was going to say, go on, Jordan, and then I'll make my final point.
The only thing is because we talked about the type of recommended tents and stuff for out of character. We mentioned about obviously you need a specific type of tent in character, but for anyone not familiar or has never seen or camped alongside old-fashioned canvas style tents, and are worried about doing that in the cold, if you have the budget, you can get specific canvas tents that come with an attachment point for an internal stove. These again are going to cost more, and then obviously you have to have the stove as well. I believe there's some of the rentable bell tents. Actually, you can. I think you can rent some with a stove. But again, this is all just if you can afford them. None of these are a necessity. If you're worried about being cold, throw a sleeping bag on. But if you want the comfort, you can get a stove and have a little log burning stove inside your tent to keep it warm.
I will say, so what friends of mine? So I have two friends two groups of friends who do rent the bell tents. One, it is specifically for camping, and like it's everything set up for them. And they said it was about £75 each for 3 of them, which
That's
is
not bad.
reasonable enough, to be honest. And then another group is using their tent specifically just for IC, like as an IC hangout, and then camped OC.
Yep.
Because they didn't have enough bell tents. There's like, shout out to Stone Cold. There's way too many of you. There's like 15 of them, and like it's too many. But like they have a bell tent just for in-character stuff, and that is rented as well.
Yeah.
It seems reasonable enough. Like,
and just on that, it kind of leads into the point I was going to make. When you buy your ticket, your camping is included in that ticket price. You don't have to pay extra. You have to, unless you turn up on the Thursday, and then you have to pay £10 more. But you can pay it on the gate as you arrive. You can turn up and pitch 15 tents. Like, there is no limit. Like Cian's just said, you might find that there are some areas or some nations that'll have 3 different tents, like an Emperor tent, a couple of bell tents that are purely for IC purposes, and they'll have 10 out of character tents pitched as well. Nobody has paid any additional cost to pitch additional tents. It's not like one ticket equals one tent.
15 tents for one person, because if people find out, they might kill you.
Yes.
But other than that, you've however many you want.
Yeah, so there's no limitation.
There is also those groups. There's like at least 2 in Dawn who have the massive like circus tents. The massive like wedding tents, the big massive ones. And that is technically one tent for 20 people.
Yeah.
So it does also work the other way. Though those are very, very expensive. We've looked.
The closest Arlance is getting is a gazebo.
Yeah.
Very true. That is very true. So that pretty much sums up the camping element, and that's what to expect in terms of the camping side of this. But you're not coming to Empire just to camp. You're coming to play the game, and I think the next big point, and we're probably going to be on this for a little while, is you're asking yourself, well, what does that mean? And we've mentioned about building characters and things before, but Cian is going to hit you with some building your character knowledge.
So, what I'll say is the character sheets for Empire, they're pretty basic, they're pretty simple, and I think that is by design. There is no real stats, there is nothing like that, because everything you do in Empire, it has to be really something you can do in real life, minus magic. Like if you want to play a swords, like a warrior who loves the greatsword, you kind of still need to be good at swinging that sword. The character sheet itself, it has a whole wizard. Well,
a wizard.
The online wizard puts you through and shows you how to do it. It's really very basic, and it's very easy to do. The most important things: what nation do you want to be in? That is, I think, the most important question that you have to ask yourself. Read the nations, look at their vibes. Is this something you want to play for the weekend? You can always change your mind, and they have policies in place straight away, as Dan knows because he changed from Wintermark to Navarre. Why did you change?
So that's a really, really good question. So I sat on that wiki for 3 days. I looked at every single nation, and I was weighing up the pros and cons of what I'd like in each nation. And Wintermark was definitely one of my top 3. It was Wintermark, Navarre, and Dawn. They were my top 3. And I was
Dawnish.
I could have been, but I decided that that's too much glory for me. So I decided on going to Wintermark. I love the aesthetic. I love the idea of furs and heavy leather and I loved a lot of the principles behind what Wintermark stood for, and a lot of the boxes that I felt like I wanted ticking as a character when I was starting to come up with some character ideas. Wintermark just seemed like the right fit. So I did, and I went for the first whole weekend, and then spent all that weekend in another nation, in Navarre, and I went, okay, so this is where I need to be. This is my nation. This is what fits me. I love the people, I love the atmosphere, the vibe. I love what Navarre's all about. I'm between now and the next summit, whenever I come back, I'm going to change. And it's completely fine to do that. Like, you have you have, as Jordan mentioned it in the first ever episode we did. If you haven't watched that yet, why not go back and watch that? But Jordan mentioned it.
You're at how to play. That's why.
So you get one do-over. So you can come, you can create a whole character, you can join a nation, absolutely everything. You can select all your stats, choose your skills, do everything you want. You can come out of that event and go, I want to change absolutely everything. And PD will go, okay, you got one do-over, change everything that you want to change, including, you can even go down into the detail of, I want to change my name, my nation, the skills, everything. And they just go, okay, cool. But once you do it this time, that's it. You will then have to do it all IC or through in-game reasons and stuff.
So there is,
or just die.
Or just die. There is always the option. You can also just, you don't even have to die in character, because that would involve going.
You can just retire them, can't you?
Yeah. You can't just retire a character. The only incentive for not doing that is, as soon as you attend your first event, you gain experience, you gain skill points. I've actually, weirdly, I've had a lot of people confused about how it works, and it was only when I was like going back to read through the character creator route, like steps to like to prep for this, I found out that the way it works is you gain skill points for attending one of the first or second events and one of the third or fourth events. So you can only get 2 skill points or 2 not even level ups, but 2 skill points per year. But it's by attending one of the first or second and one of the third or fourth.
Yeah, it's not very clear.
But yeah, that's why
you just have to attend one out of every 2 events, and you'll get a skill point for that event.
Yeah.
But you cannot get more than 2 in a year. And it doesn't work if, for example, if you did E1 and E2, you only get 1 skill point.
Yes.
But if you did E1 and E3, you would get 2 skill points. It's just you have to do 1 in each of the 2 halves. I don't know why. I think it incentivizes people, but it doesn't make perfect sense.
I
can see your confusion there, Dan. Something in the background. Let me close my door.
I have a skill point?
Oh, yeah. So, for skill points, do you have certain things you can do as your character? So, for example, for Hadrian, the character I play, I have Weapons Master, which means I get to use all the weapons. That costs
all the weapons.
All the weapons. That costs an experience point. I also have shield. I'm allowed to hold a shield. Specifically a big shield.
Yeah, I was going to say, everyone can carry a shield, but only up to a certain size, usually like a buckler, like sort of like the size of your forearm. To carry anything bigger, you have to have the shield skill point.
Yeah. And like, so when you are designing your character, you should specifically design based off what you want to do. If you want to go fighting with a big sword, shield and armor and all that, there are skills for that. You can invest in that really well. There's a thing called hero points where you can do cool shit like cleave, where if I hit someone on their non-armored body, non-metal armored body, I believe, specifically.
Non-metal, non-heavy.
Not heavy. Their limbs don't work. That limb doesn't work anymore. That's cool. That's great. If that's not the game you want to play, if you want to be a magician, you want to do all that magic stuff, there are specific skills for that. And that's very interesting. If you want to be a support character, if you want to be a physician who heals the sick and dying, there are skills for that. If you want to be an alchemist who makes potions and sells them and makes poisons to poison people, you can also do that. Also, fully for an option that a friend of mine has done, because their character was a trader and there is no real trading skills. She just kept all her points.
A
now that
couple of friends have done that.
Yeah. And now that when she's going to retire that character, she's going to go in with a much stronger character with her next one.
That's a very important point, just because you just without glossing over that. When you retire a character, any remaining points carry on to your next one.
Mm-hmm.
But you do not get refunded your points.
Once you've spent them, Once they're spent, they're gone.
Once you spent them, they are gone. Also, if you don't like what I picked Ambidextrous, which lets me use two swords. And honestly, that was a mistake. I'm dyspraxic. I can't use two swords. You can retrain, where you get rid of one skill and get another. It's a nice, easy way, and you can do that once between summits. Every time, like you could, if you want to do it 4 times in a year, you can. I am pretty sure.
That one I actually don't know as much about. So
you are right. You can retrain your skills. That's absolutely fine, but you can't. I think there are limitations. I'll have to Google it.
Yeah,
there are some limitations to it though.
Just to touch on 2 things very quickly. First of all, because obviously we talked about the wizard. Obviously, this is actually just what you build your character through on the website. It seems very simple. It doesn't tend, like, the wizard itself doesn't explain a lot. It literally goes, page 1, pick your nation. Page 2, pick your skills. But on each page and under each tab, it has a little question mark. Click on that, and it will take you to the relevant wiki page where you can read more about what those skills are, what the nations are, and
it's really well done.
Exactly. When I first got, I was like, "Oh, this explains nothing," and then I was like, I clicked that button. I was like, "Oh, this explains everything."
Absolutely everything.
So much information here. But again, you can read as much or as little as you like.
And then you go from that. You go to territory. This is where you specifically live. Now, this can have little or no or lots to lots of impact on your game. Like, for example, I am from the Barrens. There is lots of plot in the Barrens, so I get whispers of plot in the Barrens. A friend of mine his territory is Summerholm, and he has a lineage, so he's a Naga, I believe. And he's getting weird dreams because he's a Naga in this specific territory. And we will come to lineages in a second. Territory, you can see the man's horns.
Antlers.
Antlers.
I'm a changeling, not a Cambion.
I apologize. Territory also decides, like, how much your resource is worth if you have a business or a mine. The resource is how you make your money. For me, I have a military unit, so that means I get to command a bunch of lads who go fighting. Bunch of lads.
Come on, lads. I hear there's something happening over in Summerholm.
I am using lads as a gender-neutral term, just to be clear.
Lads and ladettes.
No, just lads. Everyone's lad.
Just lads.
Yeah. We're all lads deep down. What's going with that? But yeah,
I'm going to cut that.
Military units. You can also have mines or a business or a fleet, and all of these give you different resources, different things, which you can then use to sell, trade, buy alcohol, and the likes. And then the final thing is lineages. Now, I don't know a lot about lineages because I am boring and will always play a bog standard human. Even in D&D, I play bog standard humans. Or if I'm feeling spicy, an Aasimar, which is just a human with wings. Jordan, you want to talk a bit about lineages because you are one?
Yes, I think we've mentioned it in one of the previous episodes, but lineage, they're in Empire. You can, other than the Imperial Orcs, you can only play as a human. Imperial Orcs are the only sort of nation, the only nation that are not human. They are orcs, strangely enough. But The humans can have a lineage. This is a fun way of letting you play a different race without actually playing a different race. These are just people who have been touched by the different realms of magic that we've also talked about before. For example, I am a changeling. You can't really see them because of the green screen, but I have antlers because I am a changeling. I have been touched by the realm of summer. You do not have, like, each race, or each lineage can have various physical appearance changes, but ultimately they also have roleplay effects. And again, this is you can choose to play one of these. You can choose not to. It doesn't matter. But if you do, you're supposed to sort of lean into both the physical and roleplay aspects. I picked a changeling. I wanted to have big horns, or I said it myself. I wanted to have big antlers, so I got big antlers. But I don't have to. There are only usually one critical physical attribute that each player is supposed to do if they are picking a lineage. For example, all changelings are supposed to have slightly longer pointy ears. Now, I've not put mine on because that involves putting on spirit glue, and I didn't fancy trying to scrape that off my ears tonight. But you do not have to use any of the other aspects, but you're supposed to follow that one, which indicates that you are lineaged as opposed to just being a regular human. But like I say, it has a little bit of a roleplay effect. It has a physical effect that you're supposed to incorporate into your kit, but otherwise, you're still just a guy.
Yeah. Though a friend of mine is a Draugr, and genuinely, they end up looking like Margaret Thatcher. As in Margaret Thatcher right now, specifically. That's probably going to be cut for politics. But anyways, where are we going on next?
So,
are we talking? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. The only other thing to mention, obviously, you can find all of this information on the Profound Decisions website. So if you go to Profound Decisions, you can create an account and you can just play around with the character creation screen. It is only when you get to the last page and you press save that it actually creates the thing. You can go on, mess around with skills, change skills, create something, think about it, go change it. Go have a play around on it. It is a very basic kind of wizard, but there is a lot of information sat behind it on the wiki. So just go and have a bit of a dive through it.
I would say the only page on it, because again I ran through it yesterday in preparation, the only page on it that can be a little bit confusing because it's not as well explained is the details page. Because this is where things like character name, simple enough. Character backstory, you're going to write a bit of a backstory. Don't worry too much about whether, if you're really worried, if you have an idea for a backstory, but you're like, oh, I don't know if this fits with the setting or if this is like world breaking, you can email Profound Decisions. You can email their plot team. Well, technically at this point you'd be emailing like their background check team, which is just backgrounds@profouндecisions.co.uk. And you can ask them, like, look, this is what I want to do for my background. Is this okay? This is literally what I did. I was concerned. I had an idea for my character, but then, like, from doing some reading on the wiki, I was like, oh, does this actually work sort of lore-wise? So I emailed them, essentially got carte blanche to do whatever the hell I wanted. And now my character, by my own backstory, spent several months in the hyperbolic time chamber because why not? But if you're just keeping it relatively simple, don't worry too much because the plot team will read all backstories that are submitted to make sure that you're not putting stuff in that it doesn't make sense setting wise.
Yeah.
But there's also a couple of very critical things you'll have to pick, or like a couple of drop downs, which again, you can completely ignore these for the most part if you're not sure. Things like it'll ask you like for your archetype, which I think will vary slightly from nation to nation. But again, this is going to be if you're coming in, for example, in Dawn, you can choose to start your game as a noble. You can already be a noble when you enter. So you, at this point, would select noble as your archetype, or a knight errant, or anything like that. The very, very important one, and this is the one you have to be careful about, is there will be an option to join a group. So again, for Dawn, this could be, you could be pre-joining a lance, you could be pre-joining a house. There's options to join a coven. You should not be joining one of those without approval from the people running it.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Like, do not look through this list and so, oh, that coven sounds like fun, and just put it down, because unless you've been like given permission to join by the people running it, you're not going to be in that coven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very good point. And then once you've done all that, and you've found a nation, and you've figured out the territory you want to live in, and you've found and figured out what kind of character you want, and you've figured out that you're going to be camping OC and you're going to deal with the walk, the next thing we're going to address is, what the fuck do you wear? Like, what equipment do you need? What are you going to wear? What kind of style are you going to go for? And we're going to just pass this straight to arguably the most stylish member of our three. So I'll take the lead on this. Fuck it. No, Jordan, it's over to you, man.
Going to me.
Yeah, it's all on you. Look, I am not brave enough to like walk around for a whole weekend wearing horns on my head. It takes a brave man to do that. But yeah, Jordan, could you kind of set out the store? What are we thinking when it comes to equipment and clothes?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, elephant in the room that I've just realized we haven't mentioned the whole time. We are all wearing some of our kit.
Yes,
we just haven't mentioned this. But yeah, we're all wearing part of our kit. Again, only parts of the kit. Like we have from the three of us that we've already seen, we do have a fair few different bits and pieces. This is part of my hard kit. This is like the gambeson that goes underneath my armor. But we're going to talk a little bit about what you're going to need and then what you're going to want going forward. The very important thing, we have used this term before, this is a very common term you will hear in and around Anvil and talking about Empire, which is that kit is aspirational. You are not expected to have perfect kit. There are very few people running around out there in Dawn wearing, period accurate medieval armor that is, going to withstand a lance blow. Your kit is aspirational. You're aiming for your perfect kit, not the perfect kit, but your perfect kit. And so long as you are trying to reach that, that is good. That is fine. Nobody is going to tell you otherwise. There are some very obvious considerations, things like you cannot rock up wearing jeans and a t-shirt. You need to look like you're trying.
Yeah, I will say I have seen a couple of people, and I met one of the guys from Wintermark. He legitimately, his kit is a pair of red shorts, a white polo t-shirt that has some holes in it, a belt, and he carries a bell. That is it. That is his whole kit. But he's been playing the game for 10 years, and he went, "This is my kit, and I will never change my kit." I was like, okay. But no one bats an eye because, like we've just said, it's aspirational, right? And it's what fits his character. So people just go, okay, cool, that's his character.
So the first thing to consider when you are thinking about what you want to make for your kit or buy for your kit or cobble together, and it's something we've talked about a couple of times, which is the feel of the nation you're in. Each nation has a distinct feel, and that is part of that aspirational aspect. You're meant to aspire to look like part of your nation. We've said it before in one of the other episodes, there is literal in-game magic at play, which makes every person at least attempt to look like they're from their nation. This is one of those examples where you might be told off. As I told off in air quotes here. If you rock up, look like in loads of furs and like black and heavy leathers and stuff, and you look like you're from Wintermark, but you say, I'm from Navarre, people are going to be like, you don't look like you're from Navarre. And there's going to be a thing like, but what most people do is they would help. They'll offer advice and say, well, actually, if you took that off and replaced that with this, or you did that to it, it's gonna the people will always do their best to help you. The number of times you'll see in actually, there's a very good point. We've mentioned them a couple of times, but this is one of the times that things like the Facebook groups and the Discords can be extremely helpful.
Yeah.
The number of people who will rock up into the Dawn Cord, because there is a costumery channel, and the number of times people will send a picture of a thing they saw on Vinted and are like, hey, does this suit Dawn? I'm worried it looks kind of leaguish. And people will say, oh no, it's definitely Dawn, or yeah, it could be Dawn, stick a couple of flowers on it and you'll be right.
Yeah.
Just a couple, you'll be fine. Because things like, for example, Dawn and Marchers, they have very similar kits. The difference being Dawn is a lot more flamboyant, while Marchers, you wear a lot of muted colors. So there'll be very similar kits in terms of the type of clothing, but it's the colors, it's the accessories. All of those are what set them apart. And it's going to be similar between other nations as well. Some nations will wear very similar base layers, but it's how you wear them, what colors they are, what you accessorize them with are going to make all the difference.
Yeah.
And it sounds like I'm talking about a lot, but literally the difference between a Marcher kit and a Dawn kit can sometimes be a £5 flower crown off of Amazon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's an important thing. When you're thinking about building kit, and we've given the advice before to build this up over time, the one thing that I would suggest is utilize what you have at your fingertips, right? Utilize spaces like Vinted, utilize Facebook Market Space. There are very good quality things that you can find on Amazon. There are some very poor quality things you can find on Amazon as well, so just buyers beware. But utilize those spaces, and if you are not affluent, you're not in a position to spend hundreds of pounds on kit for your first thing, don't worry. Spend within your means, as long as it is aspirational and you can then just build on it over time, right? For my first event, I think I spent £100 on kit before the event. That was it.
Yep.
Like on tabard, belt, pouch, that was it. Like, I didn't have a weapon, I didn't have a sheath, I didn't have any of that. I just wanted to come and experience it. Fell in love, and then went and bought a weapon and a sheath and lots of other things. But
I think the most expensive thing I bought for my first event was this Gambison, because I wanted something that was like, I wanted something that looked sort of medieval, Renaissance, sort of Dawnish. And then everything else was just like a linen shirt and some linen trousers.
Yeah.
And then this flower crown. I think that was like my first kit that I got. And then I had friends helped out. Like someone sold me some of their secondhand chainmail. I got very lucky, and then a friend who had some plate armor that he didn't want anymore gave it to me for helping him out with something. But again, that's more for combat kit, which I'll get onto in a second. Because again, combat kit isn't strictly required unless you're planning to go and fight, and even then, you don't need armor. It just influences how your game plays. But critically, like we say, look at your nation's look and feel. Look at the colors, because that's the critical thing. It is the colors quite often that will separate the nations. And keep, like, if you're not wanting to spend loads of money, linen shirt in the right colors, linen trousers in the right colors, and a couple of accessories, and you are sorted. That is your first kit is done. Obviously, if you've got the money to splash, like you can, there's so many things. There are so many incredible kits that I've seen at just one event already. But those are things to aspire to if you can. Additionally, and I'm going to talk about it very quickly, because I don't want this to turn into like an arts and crafts video. But a lot of people, myself included, have started like make their own kit. I've started making my own kit. I've so far made I made a tabard, a couple of cloaks, and I'm going to continue making more. And you can save a lot of money that way. Obviously, you have the initial investment. I've put a sewing machine. You can get a secondhand sewing machine. I got mine for 40 quid off of a marketplace, off of Gumtree, I think. Then fabric. When you're pricing it, looks quite expensive, but when you think about what you can make out of like a couple of bits of fabric, it ends up like, I think I'm going to get a tabard and I got a tabard, a shield cover, and I'm probably going to get like a short cape out of like 20 quid's worth of fabric.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad.
Yep. And
pretty good.
But I think that obviously entails going out and learning the skills to do it as well.
Yeah, but I think that you've made a very good point, that it's those smaller additions that really can set your kit apart from everybody else's. Like, it doesn't have to be an expensive piece of kit. No one is expecting you to go and spend £150 on a Gambison. You can just find something on Vinted that fits your nation for £5 to £10, and it will set your kit apart from everybody else's and make it unique, right? So just spend within your means. There is no expectation from anybody else in the field that you come dressed to the nines for your first event. There is no expectation from anybody to do that. And even if you were just on the cusp of barely aspirational, no one's going to say a fucking thing. Everyone is just going to be welcoming and being like, I assume this is your first event. Yeah, welcome to Empire. Let's go and have a load of fun together. And you just build from there, right?
Right. I did ramble on that a little bit, so I'm going to fire through the next couple of points very quickly. First of all, not an important piece of kit, but a helpful piece of kit that a lot of people will invest in is a cloak. Now, good wool cloak is good for waterproofing and keeping you warm, but a wool cloak can be quite expensive. Alternatively, there are people selling, usually at the event, or you can get them ahead of time, a simple canvas cloak. These are good for keeping the rain off, although not necessarily for keeping you warm. I bought one of those and it worked fine at E4. But again, that's depending on how much you want to invest in a cloak. Next, if you do struggle with the cold, don't forget, if people can't see the kit, it doesn't matter whether it's modern. A lot of people will wear underlayers, like under armor, things like that, to keep themselves warm, like additional layers of vests, something that will just like keep your core warm. And again, you can get away with a lot of different kinds of like gloves and things, so long as they're relatively plain. You don't want stuff with like lots of patterns and stuff, but like a good pair of leather gloves will fit almost every nation's brief to keep your hands warm. And a good pair of walking boots. This is the one piece of clothing that people will generally ignore. Is a good pair of walking boots. You're on your feet a lot. It gets wet. It gets cold. And people will not tell you off if your boots are not themed appropriately, because people are more worried about you being safe and not twisting an ankle. You can also obviously invest in thematic boots, which will cost £200 to £300. I've seen people do it. But a good pair of walking boots is your best option. And I know people I've met who've been doing it for literally 4 or 5 years. They still just wear walking boots because it's the safest option. Yep. Bring lots of socks. Like I said, it can get cold, it can get wet. Double up. This is just a little piece of advice I was given. Double up on your socks, even if it's not that cold. 2 layers of socks will be great for walking. It will help prevent blisters and keep you comfortable. Have additional socks for when you're sleeping. Have additional socks in case your other socks get wet. Have additional socks in case those socks get wet. Essentially, bring about twice as much as you think you're going to need.
That's what people mean by double up on socks.
Yes.
I just assumed that people meant bring twice the amount of socks. Okay.
I mean, yes, it means two things.
Fun fact, for those who aren't aware of this, see when you buy like a pair of walking socks, like proper socks for walking boots, the only thing that makes that walking sock is they have 2 layers. The idea being that when your shoe moves your sock, it rubs one sock against the other sock instead of rubbing that sock against your skin.
Yep. Yeah.
That's how walking socks
and
work.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is why you tune into our podcast, because it's those little tidbits that you can take away into real life situations and wow your friends in the pub on a Friday night.
So that's all I'm going to say on like your standard kit. This is what we've talked about so far is what Cian's mind has been blown.
I was going to say, I genuinely, each week, I feel that Cian comes out of this learning so much about the game that he's played longer than us, like every week.
So that is us talking about what we would call soft kit. Your soft kit is what you're going to wear most of the time, and it's called soft kit because there's no hard bits in it. Now, we're going to talk about combat kit, or what people would tend to refer to as your hard kit. Now, this is what's going to probably be your most expensive kit, even if you're not wearing like plate armor, even like a good looking leather armor. Like I say, good looking, again, similar to like the other stuff we're talking about before. You can buy cheap versions of a lot of this off of Amazon or other hellish dropped shipping sites. You can get stuff, for fairly cheap. Good quality stuff is going to run you a pretty penny. You can find stuff on buy-in sales, on kit swapping to get like a good reduction in price, but if you want to wear lots of armor, if you want to have lots of health, unfortunately, it's the one thing you're probably going to have to spend a bit of money on, unless you're one of those absolute mentalists out there who has taken up leatherworking or metal crafting. There is a guy in our lance currently building his own suit of armor at home for fun. Unless you're one of those people, you're probably going to have to buy some armor. But again, you do not need armor for combat. All that does is mean you're going to survive longer. But ultimately, it comes down to what sort of combat you want to do. Like Cian said, you can drop skills into various things, which are going to impact what sort of weapons you use, whether that's swords and shields, greatsword, pole arms, archery. If you've got a bit of experience, I will say it's the one type of combat you have to show proficiency with. You will be asked to demonstrate that you can use a bow. There are also limits on the bow strength you can use. So obviously, if you want to have a look at that, read up on that on the wiki first, because if you just rock up with a 200-pound draw bow, you're probably not going to be allowed to take part.
Yeah.
But things like that, you need to look into what kit you want to get, look into the type of game you want to play, and you're probably going to have to invest a little bit in your hard kit. But again, if that is outside the realm of outside your realm of affordability, you don't have to go to the battles. Like I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not fun. Like the battles are fucking great. It's so much fun, but it is only a small part of the weekend. Yeah. If you can't afford, because ultimately the only risk you run by going into battle without lots of health is that your character might die. And I say that only as if I haven't literally witnessed people in tears over other people's characters dying, because people get very emotionally invested in this game, surprisingly. It's, that's still up to you. You can decide to go into battle, risk your life every single time, or you can decide not to go to battle at all.
I mean,
That's up to whatever game you want to do.
Yeah, there is also the option you can go into the battles and not actively participate in the actual fighting element. You can stay on the back lines. There are banner holders. You can literally go and stand at the back lines, pretending that you're just there to protect the person next to you. You're not interested in being on the front lines.
There's also message running for generals. You can run messages for generals. If you have skills related to like artisanry, if you can repair broken weaponry, if you're a healer, a lot of these people will stay far from the combat, but ultimately there's no guarantee. The line might break, you might get overrun. There's a famous event that happened just like a year and a half ago called Sweet Glades.
No, nobody needs to hear about it. Nobody cares anymore.
Yeah,
it's past its
history. We've talked about it before, but like most of Dawn who went into the field that day died. Yeah. And that was like the people with the armor and the weapons. So like there's no guarantee.
No, that's true.
Again,
that's great.
Yeah. But something that's sort of cropped up recently, like armor is a little bit harder to borrow. Like if you have friends who have like older armor that they don't use anymore, they might be able to lend you. But weaponry, I know for a fact, there are a lot of people who will let you loan their weapons, but there are also, if you don't come in knowing anyone, if you don't have any friends already who do LARP, who have weapons you can borrow, I know for a fact there are now people in various nations, I know there's at least one in Dawn, if not two, who have started doing in-character weapon loans, where you pay like a nominal fee of like a couple of crowns, and they will let you borrow a weapon for a battle. So there's options there if you don't have the stuff at hand, but ultimately battle kit is the more expensive side of it, I will like openly say, and it is an investment.
Yep. It looks cool though.
Oh yeah, definitely. The best looking parts. Yeah. But to close out on kit, the important thing is build your kit over time. Don't come in expecting to have the perfect kit for your first event. Again, in the various Discords, you will see people who have like been building on their kit for like years. Like they'll still have like the same base layers, they'll get a new outer layer, they'll add things to it, and it is a long process to get to that image of your character in real life. But I say meet other people at the events, like go and meet people, just go and be a weirdo, stand at the side and just watch people and get ideas for what your kit wants to look from what other people are wearing. Like go out there and just observe, see what other people are doing, and use that to influence what you want to make with your kit. And like I say, you can look into making your own kit, like learn, speak to people. Again, the people in the Empire sort of community are so helpful. If you're considering learning to make various bits yourself, go into a Discord, ask for people who are already doing this, and they will leap at the chance to like talk to you about doing these sorts of things. You will find people who will dedicate evenings of their time for nothing to like run you through like the basics of sewing just because they like talking about it. It's a very helpful community, and I think there is so much you can learn just from, again, even if you don't want to take up any of these things, just like learning how it works. It's just a fun thing to do. But kit, keywords, aspirational. That's what everyone's going to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it does apply to all elements of your kit, not just soft kit. So there is a difference when we refer to soft kit, that is just what you would wear wandering around the camp, sitting by a campfire having a drink, and then hard kit is obviously the armaments, the weapons, things like that. All of which are aspirational and can and should, in my learned opinion, be built over time. I will never advise anybody to go and spend £600 on kit before their first event ever, because you just don't even know if you're going to like it yet. All this advice is designed to put you in a position that you understand the type of advice that we received before we started playing the game, so that you can make educated choices and educated decisions about how you want to approach this if you want to come to Empire. And building kit is definitely one of those pieces of advice, because once you get the bug, your credit card will suffer. Your credit card will suffer. And I've had conversations with my wife with my hard kit And she went, what the fuck is that for?
How much did that cost?
Just be aware that it is aspirational, and it might cause you to have a few conversations about why you've walked in with a spear into your house. So yeah, but it's a really good segue, and we did talk about the battles earlier, Jordan, and about whether you want to get into the combat game or if you're a medic or if you're an artisan, and the battles being a small section of the weekend. But do you want to talk to us about the type of battles that you can get involved with, what that is, what that means, that sort of thing?
100%. So we've kept this one relatively simple because there is a lot to learn about combat. If you're interested in it, I highly recommend going in, reading about the different weapon skills, or what is called calls. These are like your martial abilities, like Cian mentioned earlier about cleave. Read up on the battle magics. I think we talked in a previous video about there's lots of different kinds of magic, different levels, specifically magic that's used in battles. Even if you're not a magic wielder, you need to know the magic calls, because when somebody hits you with a repel, you need to know that you have to run backwards for 30 seconds. Because if somebody hits you with a repel and you have to go, what's that do? It kind of ruins the immersion. Well, people are forgiving, because there's some of the abilities, some of the calls aren't used as often. So like if you do forget and you just kind of pause and look at them, they will kind of go, and then you have to do the thing. But I highly recommend reading up on those. Read up on what happens when you get knocked down, because you literally have to count in your head how long you survived for, because you have a limited time. If you get dropped to 0 hit points before you outright die as a character, people have to rescue, so you have to be counting that in your head. I actually went and bought a little timer. It's got like 3 hourglasses on it for like 30 seconds, a minute, and 2 minutes specifically for this, and I keep it in my pouch so that if I go down, I can just pull it out and flip it.
That's actually really good.
Yeah,
that is really good.
I'm not going to go into lots and lots of detail about the fighting itself, because like I say, there's a lot to talk about. We might do a video with that in the future, like breaking that down into detail. I'm just going to talk about what you need to know about the battles specifically as like an overarching bit of knowledge. So first things first, there are going to be 2 major battles every event. One on the Saturday, one on the Sunday. These always happen at the same time, 11 o'clock, and they usually last for a couple of hours total, I think, sort of like getting in and getting out time included. It is very important that you are aware of the time. If you are going on your own or with your own group of friends and you're not part of a sort of military group like a Lance and Dawn, I don't know what Navarre have, Tree Huggers
That's
group.
the problem.
I don't think they know either. I'm just ignoring us. If you're not a member of one of these groups, nobody is going to hold your hand. Nobody is going to go, by the way, do you know it's nearly 11, the battle's starting soon? You have to be listening. Generally, I believe most nations will congregate in a central spot and then walk to what is referred to as the gate, the Sentinel Gate, together. I know Dawn does it. I'm pretty sure every other nation does it. So as long as you're hanging around somewhere near the middle of your nation at around sort of 10:30, you're probably going to see a bunch of people with weapons congregating. Go and follow them.
Yep.
If you are lucky enough to join a group, like again, a Lance and Dawn or whatever the hell they're called in the other nations, they will get you organized. They'll say, right, you're coming with us. You're going to stand here. You're going to march with us this way. And if you have specific combat skills prepared, like me and Cian are sword and board, we're sword and shield, we know we're going to be on the sword or on the shield wall. So we know we're going to have to be near the front line of our group. We know we're going to have certain members of our lance behind us. We know we're going to have other members of the lance behind them. And we have that organization. If you're not part of that group, you can just kind of go wherever. Nobody is really going to kick you out, but occasionally what might happen is you might be walking along and a field general might go, you've got a shield, go over there now. And it's expected that you do what you're told because they are the generals. And this can sometimes split you up from the people you're with, but like you kind of have to do it. But again, that's just sort of like organization on the field. Generally, if you're with a group, you can be like, I'm with these guys.
Yeah.
There's
exactly
like 2 things. So just on the combat in Empire, the battles, it is not person versus person. It is unit combat. You are meant to be part of a unit. You are a unit versus another unit. That is how it is meant to be played, and that's when it is the most fun. The second thing is there is a concept called the bleed. This is quite important because I felt it before and it's not great. Your body does not understand that this is all fake.
Yes.
So sometimes you'll just be like, oh shit, I'm going to die.
This is fucking
Your body
so
doesn't
good.
understand.
I will say at my first event, I did have my body did know it wasn't real because I spent a lot of the time wearing ill-fitting chainmail that was pulling my trousers down.
Yeah.
And I spent most of my first combat trying to will my trousers not to fall below my knees.
Oh, it was so funny. Only
But
because I remember the first, like, it wasn't the skirmish I went on, it was the first big battle. And I was like, this is mint. First 20 minutes, I'm going, oh, this is great. The next 10 minutes, I'm going, holy shit, I'm starting to get a bit tired now.
Yeah.
The next 10 minutes, I'm just on one knee and people running over going, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fucked, bro. I'm like 35 and I'm out of breath. Like, I'll be fine in a minute. Like, just blowing out my ass.
As a survivor of Sweetglades, that shit was fucked. Genuinely, like, and like, this is something we, like, people know about and they talk about, and like, it is okay to just go, yeah, no, I'm out of this. I'm sorry, I can't do this. And just walk out and then come back next time after, you've kind of worked on it. And like, can be scary. It can be exhilarating, but it also can be exhilarating. I ran so fucking fast. Basically, just as a quick story, there was about 5 of us in the lance. We got separated from everyone else. We were like running through the forest. 5 of us in the lance, and then one guy we didn't know. And as we break out into the forest, we just see what looked like 100 orcs. And they go, we'll let one of you go. The rest die. We all looked at each other and went, fuck it. And legged it.
You don't have to be faster than the orcs. You just have to be faster than your slowest friend.
That's it.
I have never run so fucking fast. Every single one of the Emerald Lads got out of that. Of us, the people who survived, who were there. Not everyone got out of that battle. The one guy we didn't know, dead.
Didn't make it.
Didn't make it.
Brilliant.
Oh.
But so there are, like, again, having only done one like actual battle as part of the lands, it is exhilarating, even if you're trying to stop your trousers falling down. But it is. I'm hoping I've since tweaked my chainmail so that shouldn't happen in the future. But again, we don't want to go into too much detail about the battling. Ultimately, there are people who will teach you how to fight in a line. Like, you can turn up, there will be people quite often like practicing in various parts of the nation. I know in Dawn we have the Glory Square. You will just rock up and there'll just be people in the Glory Square training sometimes. Like, go and find people, speak to them, they will teach you like the basics of combat. Or like, again, like I say, we'll probably do a video on in the future when we get time. But the main thing to remember is that it is the nations are fighting. You should be fighting as part of your nation with a group, if possible, following directions from the field commanders, field generals, because they'll be telling you where to go. Because, like I say, we're going to a new site with a bigger field. Like, it was big enough at the old site. Like, it is a multiple fields, a long, like, winding section of woods. If you don't know where you're going, you can very easily just wander off and like not find the correct place that you're supposed to be. Yeah. But that said, we've talked about the like you turning up to fight. We talked about like the actual battles themselves, and you've already mentioned the orcs, Cian. The one rule, and it's a rule that a lot of people ignore, and a lot of nations have got a lot of shit for this, is if you turn up to battle, whether it's the Saturday or the Sunday, you have to do what is called monstering on the other day. That is where you play the bad guys. Because if you don't, then the other nations don't have people to fight.
Yeah.
I believe up until very recently, I think Dawn was like the 3rd worst nation for doing this, in that like we only had like an 80% retention for monstering. It's fair enough if you like get injured or something, but a lot of people just kind of see it like, oh, I don't really want to fight today. It's not fair to the other players.
Agreed.
Like, if you're going to do it both days, do it properly.
Yeah.
And like, you can go low combat for one of them. If you like, if like last time I wasn't really up for the monstering, so I played a physic and I basically just played Fraser. for an hour, telling everyone that their stab wounds are all in their head, and that was fun. And then I got shot.
That's a very good point as well, actually, because when you turn up to monster, you're not playing with your own stats. You will be given stats based on what kind of like role you're filling. They will tell you you have this many hit points, you have these skills to use. Go and have your fight. And again, for those who have not done it before, monsters respawn. You don't just die once. You get killed. You wander off to a respawn point. A bunch of people will gather, and then you'll be told, right, you guys are going that way. You'll usually what actually happened with me was I spent the first 20 minutes of my monstering day doing literally nothing because they assigned me to a bodyguard detail for a guy who was like a good 200 yards away from any of the fighting, and then they were like, oh, the good guys have taken that area, we need it back, so you guys have to run in. There was like 10 of us. There was about 50 good guys there. We immediately died. So I spent 20 minutes doing nothing, fought for about 10 seconds, and then respawned. But when I was respawning, they were like, hey, does anyone here want to lead this group when they go out? And I was like, raised my hand, and they were like, yeah, all right. So what you... And it just took me aside. I'm like, what you guys are going to do is I'm going to give you 30 orcs. You guys are going to run all the way around the field. Immediately, I was like, I regret this decision. You're going to run all the way around the back of the field. You're going to pop up behind them on their back line, and you're essentially going to try and split their focus. And I'll tell you what, it fucking worked, but it was a long run. But yeah, you get opportunities to be like, hey, who wants to like lead this unit when you go out? And you can just be like, I'll do it, and they'll just let you.
Yeah.
But it is very important that you do the monstering. Like, please, if you're going to battle, do the monstering.
Yeah, and a couple of points on that. So PD do check. So as you go through the gate for your fight, so let's say you're fighting on a Saturday with your nation, they round up how many people from each nation. They count how many bodies go through the Sentinel gate to fight for that given nation. And then when you go to muster as the monster on the Sunday, they literally take a count. Those numbers are then posted on every forum that they have, because they are big believers in naming and shaming if you do that. Because like Jordan said, it is not fair to your fellow players, and it's not the kind of ethos that Empire stands for. Another small point, you can be on the battlefield as a monster for all of 15 minutes, respawn and be sat chilling out for 10 minutes at the respawn point. You are not expected to be on the field constantly just whacking people with sticks. It is, I would argue, it is a lot easier to monster than it is to battle for your own nation, because if you're in your own nation, you're on the field for an hour, like in full kit, wearing all your armor. You can go you don't have to wear armor as a monster. You can just turn up in light kit and they give you a mask and a weapon and go, and
actually,
you can just run around.
That's a very good point as well. If you don't have armor for your regular kit, but you want to like experience fighting in armor, they don't have stuff for everyone. But if you turn up early enough to monster, you can grab some armor, and you can go out and try fighting in some armor. Theirs tends to be like poly. It's like plastic made to look like metal.
Yeah,
but you can get the experience of fighting in armor if you want to. As well, the only critical thing with orcs when you're fighting as a monsters there are certain orc nations, not nations, but there's certain orc groups who you will be like, oh, these guys have to wear masks. Like, if you're in a monster, you have to wear a mask unless you have like a medical exemption or something, because like, oh, these orcs don't keep slaves, therefore they don't have anyone who looks human, or they don't have any allies who look human. Some of the orc groups will be like, oh, these guys keep slaves, so you can't be like, I don't really want to wear a mask, I have like an issue with whatever. They're like, okay, well, you're fighting as a slave then, or you're one of the orc allies or whatever. But there are some nations where it's like, you really are supposed to be wearing a mask. Again, they will supply masks. They're not awful. They're also not comfortable.
No.
They're not comfortable. You can't go and... Yeah, I put mine on, and immediately with a full beard, it was just like pushed all up into my cheeks, and I was like, I don't like this. But you can also buy your own masks. You can modify them. I've seen people who buy an orc mask and then they literally cut around the bottom of it so they still have their beard poking out underneath. So that's something you can invest in. But yeah, that's the critical stuff about like the major battles. Additionally, I'm going to very quickly cover skirmishes. I think we've talked about these in the past before, but you have the big battles, and then over the course of the weekend, there will be what are called skirmishes. These are just smaller battles, but generally they have like a bit of plot related to them, and this plot might be tied to specific people or specific groups. So if you're reading the Winds of War, the Winds of Fortune that come out, some of these will result in opportunities for skirmishes. But quite often they are linked to a specific group, like I say, in which case, if you think that one of those skirmishes sounds cool and you want to go and be on that skirmish, you have to go and find the people organizing it.
Yes.
And you have to do this in character. It is not allowed to do it outside of the game, because otherwise you end up with several hundred people bombarding this one person online to be like, I want to come on your skirmish, let me come. So you have to go and find them in character. You have to like search them, like find them, that player. Even if it's not one related to a specific group, what will then happen is it'll be open to whoever. But to be on the skirmishing team, you have to go and find the person in your nation who is responsible for organizing the skirmishes. I think each nation, I think it's the same title in each nation. I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't know if you know it, Cian, the person who's responsible to that.
Not off the top of my head, sorry.
No, that's fine. There's a person responsible for those. Usually there's like one person in each nation. You can go and find them and speak to them. But that's the important thing, is you can't like bombard people out of character online. You have to go and find them in the game. But like I say, these will all be related to different bits of plot. Some of them will be more interesting to you than others. But sometimes you just might want to be, I want to spend more of my weekend fighting. I know like people who just go and hang around at the Sentinel Gate, because that's where all of the skirmishes muster, and they just stand there going, does anyone need another sword and shield? Does anyone need another healer? And they will just like wait for people who want them on a skirmish, and then they will go out with them and come back. But same as the battle, you go through the Sentinel Gate, you do your thing, you come back through the Sentinel Gate. If you die out there, you die in real life, and your character's dead. But ultimately, it's just another kind of battle you can do, a little bit smaller, a little bit more intimate. These ones can be done at night. The first skirmish I went on was in the dark against a bunch of cannibalistic cultists. So that was fun, having a bunch of people run at you talking about how they're going to eat you in the dark.
Yeah.
Another important mechanic when it comes to battles, not so much the main battle, but you will find that it's easier to do on the main battlefield than it is skirmishes, but there is looting. You can legitimately loot enemies for materials, gold, coins, weaponry, boons, smut. You can literally, and I don't mean you go and rifle their pockets. You literally, and everyone makes a joke of it. You wave your hands over, and everyone usually goes, "I'm looting your dead body," and like sing songs at them and shit. But you can, and there are some players that legitimately make a lucrative living every event by not doing the fighting and just looting the dead people for their house. There was a guy that came from the hall I was guesting with, and I said, "Oh, you don't have any weapons?" And he went, "I have a dagger, but I'm not there to fight. I'm literally here to steal things off the dead bodies." I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, seriously, that's all I do. You guys go and do the fighting. I will loot the bodies after you've killed them, and then we come back to the hall and we share the spoils." I was like, "That's fucking mint."
That's crazy. But on the other side of it, I know people who, when they're monstering, that's an important thing. Like when you go onto the battlefield, it's highly recommended you don't take your valuables with you. Like store them at your tent, because there's a chance that people will loot you, as we've just discussed. But it's also important, or not important, but like I know people in our lance who, when they're monstering, will like write love notes to each other and like put them in their pockets, so that when people like loot them, they just hand over this piece of paper which they unfold, and it's like, to Grog. Or what was it? There's two of them have like silly names. Who has the really silly names, like Lub Dub and Dub Lub or something?
Yeah. It was along those lines, yeah.
Yeah, and they was like write love notes to each other. And then people will find these things like to Lub Dub from Dub Lub, like I love you more than I love battle, and just nonsense like this. Which is a funny little thing for players to find when they loot your body. But yeah.
So that brings us very nicely onto the next topic. So we're going to talk trade and commerce. So we mentioned a second ago about money, and I referred to it as gold, and also materials. So I'm going to give you a bit of an understanding as to what that is. So we made mention of it in an earlier episode, but the currency that Empire uses are rings, crowns, and thrones that go up in ascending order. So if you're coming from like D&D, think of this as copper, silver, gold, right? So up in value. There are 20 rings to a crown, and there are 8 crowns to a throne. What you will find as a new player at your first event, when you first come to the event, on the Friday before time in, you will be expected to go to the Profound Decisions tent, otherwise known as God. Every player has to do that because at the start of your event, you will pick up your player pack. Within that player pack, you will receive a denomination of coins and some starting materials. So definitely go to do that on the. You can pick up on the Thursday afternoon, I believe. You can do it from a certain point on a Thursday or a Friday before time in. That is the currency of the Empire. When time in is called, you will only be bartering within Anvil using those currencies. You can find the odd place in Anvil where you can buy a drink with barbarian coins, so real world money. The Forge is the biggest bar in Anvil, and it is also an independent bar. They only specifically take barbarian coins. So I would recommend.
It's relatively cheap.
It is relatively cheap. It is pretty good. What you tend to find is most people buy bottles of mead because it's 15 quid for a really nice bottle of mead, and they do multiple flavours. So if you are coming, it is not, I would recommend, it is not a cash event. Wi-Fi is a little bit difficult and tricky at times, but do not bring reams of cash with you. Bring a card. Most places, including vendors and the Forge, will take card payment. You look like you were going to say something.
I remember I was trying to give it 50 once, and they were like, "Sorry, I have no change for that."
Yeah.
It was really annoying. It's good. And anyways, annoying.
Yeah, but it is. Most of the vendors will take card. Any food vendor will take card, whether it's in Anvil and out. So there are like pop-up burger trucks. There is it's called. Is it the Smoking Pig? That's in main Anvil. Is it Sizzling
Smoky Barrel?
Smoky Barrel. I can't remember what it's called.
I know they're going to be they'll be at the new site because they want to eventually build them an actual building, which would be great.
And they sell burgers, hot dogs, breakfast sandwiches, and it is really good and really well priced. I think it was like £4 for a bacon and sausage barm thing when I went.
Yeah.
Absolutely bang on the money. It was great. I also mentioned that you would get a resource. So these resources, there are different resources within the game. And when you first start, you will be given a denomination of a particular resource. There is no guarantee what that is. And depending on what character choices you made within character build, you could be fortunate to get a large amount of that resource, or you could be slightly less fortunate and get a normal amount. It is... I was told that it is typical. One of the resources is Dragon Bone. It is typical for new players to get 6 to 7 measures of Dragon Bone as a new player. I was very fortunate and got 10 measures of Dragon Bone, which then I sold for pretty much a throne. Pretty much. So use those materials wisely. My advice would be, if you do have a material and you don't know what to do with it, go and seek out an egregore. So we have mentioned egregores before, but each nation will have either one or multiple egregores for their nation. They are Profound Decision event player characters, basically. So they are members of Profound Decisions, and they are effectively event organizers in kit, and they just play the game as well. If you're a new player and you don't know what to do, seek out your egregore. Big piece of advice. I've got it as one of the first ones that I put on all the other advice things later on in the list. They will often buy that material from you, from the nation's treasury, and they will give you a fair price for it if you tell them that you're new, because they just want you to have a good time. So my advice, if it's your first event, don't worry about what the resource is. Just go and sell it, put some extra money in your pocket, and just thoroughly enjoy the first event with the money that you've got. Don't be thinking too far ahead, because the second event you come to, you will get more of that resource. You might not get as much, but you will get a bit of resource.
And it's about 5 rings for a pint.
Yeah.
So like that's the equivalent That's to keep, whatever, like that's what you should keep in your mind when you're buying stuff. About 5 rings will buy me a point. So, should I spend, 10 rings on this, or could I get 2 points? That's the question. Should always be in your head.
Exactly. Now, there are resources that you will not be able to handle. Typically, during your time at Anvil, these would be mithril, weirwood, and white granite. These are typically handled by the boss that we mentioned in the last episode, because they're usually traded in wains, which are roughly a ton. You can have a wain of a resource within your house. So particular houses might have certain amount of wains of a resource that they can then go into the boss and use as trade. But you as a new player won't really get into that side of the game for at least a couple of events. At least.
Small clarification, because I think it was my typo. Roughly half a ton.
Half a ton. Okay, cool.
Not half a ton like I wrote.
Okay, half a ton. That's cool. That's all good. One thing I will say is that there are in-character things that you can buy, and a lot of people will sell out-of-character items or in-character coin. You will find people that will sell trinkets, they will sell baked goods, they will sell coffee in the morning. You'll find people that will have gone to Tesco and bought all of the fresh croissants and will be walking around selling a croissant for 3 rings. Things like that. You will find people selling all sorts of stuff, including, and I'm going to dramatic pause here, children. Now, if you take anything
Not
from this
selling the
episode, they're not selling children.
They don't sell
Children are selling baked goods, and they are the cutest things in the world because they run up in full kit going, "Would you like to buy a cookie?" And you feel bad saying no. Say no, because otherwise you will have no money left by the end of the weekend. They know what they're doing. It's manipulation.
Absolutely.
But if you are looking to sell things, that's absolutely fine. The only consideration would be if you're looking to sell alcohol, you have to get written permission from Profound Decisions to sell the alcohol, because they have a license that they have to obviously approve certain vendors to sell alcohol, basically. But yeah.
And if someone offers you chili vodka, say no.
Say no. But there's...
In this economy, somebody offers you any alcohol, you thank them and you drink it.
Yeah, I thought you were Irish, man. What a weakling. No way. But as a new player, you can often be a little bit torn whether or not something is good value or not. Having that rule of thumb, 5 rings for a pint, is always a good metric to have in your head. But if you don't know the actual cost of something and you're looking to sell or buy something, as a new player, use the phrase, "Look, I'm new to Anvil. Could we talk prosperity pricing?" This is just an indication to the person you're looking to trade with that you're new, don't rip me off. Right?
Which, to be fair, there's very few people who out there will actively rip you off.
Yeah, that's
some
true.
people will charge slightly higher prices, but because it's its own self-contained economy, like, people know if one place is charging prohibitively expensive prices, they'll just go elsewhere.
Yeah, that's true. But what it also indicates is that you're saying, "Look, I'm new to the game. I don't know if this is a good price or not. Could you give me prosperity pricing?" That's just an indicator to that other person to go, "Okay, cool. You don't know if this is a good price or not. I'll give you my best price."
Yeah.
It's a really easy way of doing it without going, "Hey, look, I'm just getting out of character waylaid in trying to explain. I ain't got a clue what I'm talking about." Cool. So that pretty much kind of sums up trade and commerce a little bit. Have you guys got anything?
One of the things I don't think you mentioned it there, but technically it's against the rules to ask for examples of prices out of character.
Yes.
So you're not supposed to go into the forums and be like, "Hey guys, how much can I sell this for at Anvil?" Because it's considered like a form of price fixing.
Yeah.
So of course, a cat has decided to come in, and now is the time to climb all over everything and make lots of noise. But technically, you're supposed, like, people will sometimes be like, "Oh, well, you can expect to pay between this amount and this amount." No one is going to give you an exact price, and people technically aren't even supposed to give you estimates. You're supposed to go in character, find a couple of different vendors, ask them for their prices, and compare them.
Yes.
Because it prevents a bunch of people getting together out of character and being like, hey, if we all raise our price to this, then people have to pay it.
Yeah.
It's a way of sort of, preventing late stage capitalism in Empire from occurring.
Yeah. I will say though, it's very rare that you'll find that, and everybody that I've ever dealt with at Empire is extremely helpful, and especially if you tell them you're a new player, they will be very, very helpful and be more than willing to kind of just have that side conversation of going, well, look, it usually goes for a crown, but I'll do it for however many rings. I'll do it for 18 rings because you're new. Like, you will find that people are more welcoming than you might expect, even though everyone's got their own game going on. Just tell them that you're new to Anvil. Everyone just all of a sudden just kind of slows that pace a little bit for you, explains things a little bit more clearly, and tries to help you along your way. So don't be worried about that. I want to talk very quickly about the different game types. So we made mention earlier around when you're creating your character, what kind of game you want to play. Well, there are different types of games. You don't have to decide this immediately before your first event. My advice would be have some idea of the kind of thing you want to do, but just come and experience it. There is no harm in coming in your head going, I want to do all the battles, going on the first battle, do the monster in, coming out of it and going, yeah, that's not for me. Maybe I need to try something else. There is no harm in doing that, but you can get into the military game, the politics game, the trade and economy game. You could get into the religion side of things. There are a whole host of different game types you can play. Have a look on the Discords for your given nation. Have a look in the Facebook groups for the given nation that you're wanting to join. Ask people's advice prior to the event. I suppose the advice would be, try to reach out into those spaces before your first event. Let people know you're new and genuinely put a message out to say, look, I'm coming with this sort of character. I'm interested in this kind of game. Can anyone help me? Or would anybody be willing to help me out? You will have people lining up at the door going, absolutely, come and join our house for a weekend, or find me on the field. They'll reach out to you privately on Discord and give you all the help in the world. I can't tell you the amount of people I have now on Discord that I have never actually met in person, that I go to on a regular basis just to ask for advice. And everybody is willing to give it. It's one of the best things in the world. Then there are also scheduled meetings for each of those game types. You will know when those meetings are because the schedules for those meetings are posted all over Anvil, in every nation, on every bulletin board you will find. There is a tent called the Hub. You can go to the Hub at any time over the weekend and find schedules for absolutely every event that's going down within that summit, whether that is Senate meetings about a particular topic, synod gatherings, bourse meetings, military council, whatever it is. You will find the schedule for all of these events at the Hub. Just go and attend them. You don't need to be invited. There are certain rules for certain meetings, like you wouldn't be able to go into the Hall of the Worlds unless invited in, or unless you're playing a certain game type. But look to try and attend some meetings that fit the kind of game you're looking to play, because it just opens the realm of game for you and the realm of possibilities. And as a new player, see how I segued that? See how I did that? Just boom, 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 events into new player events. On the Thursday, PD, between the hours of 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. will run new player events all day. These are new player meetings. So it's the same meetings, but... Huh?
Friday,
yeah. Did I say Thursday?
I thought you said, yeah.
Okay, so apologies. On the Friday, from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m., so it's an hour before time in, they run new player events all day. So it's new player welcome at the Hub. They run that 4 times a day. They have Combat 101. They run that a few times a day. They have new player skirmishes. They have a welcome to Senate, a welcome to the Synod. There are lots and lots of new player events that run all day on the Friday. My advice would be, Try and go to all of them if you can. There is no requirement for you to do so. No one is sat there with a pen and paper going, oh, yes, but you didn't attend this one. Nobody cares. It is just my advice personally. Go to every single one, even if it's not the type, even if it's an element of the game that you're not going to actively be playing in, because you get a very good base understanding of that area of the game. So I went to the new player welcome, I went to Synod, I went to the Senate meeting, and then I went to the combat ones. I've never done anything vaguely religious or vaguely political, or actually I've done nothing apart from attend battles. I haven't been to any military things either. But they are really good meetings because they just explain how it works, what it's about, if it should be interesting to you. And the benefit of going to those meetings, everyone else that goes to them, 90% of them are new players. Go and chat to people. Go introduce yourself.
I actually plan on going to them again next time around. The one specifically that I missed, like the healer one and the politics one. And
because it's not maybe necessarily new players to Anvil, but quite often when people are respecing and do a new character, if it's part of a game they've not played before, they will quite often attend these to learn how they work.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But there are a number of different events running through that Friday. The Welcome to Empire event is a must. If you're not going to go to any other event, I'd definitely go to the Welcome to Empire event. It effectively tells you what the game is, how you can get involved with it, all the basics. They will just reiterate a lot of stuff. They will go over the rules for the weekend. They will give you a really good, firm understanding of what the game is, and it's an hour, and you can stand, listen to it all. It's really, really fun.
Also, if it's in your price range, I would recommend getting a photo shoot done. There are photographers who do photo shoots, and it's great. There are people who go around taking photos throughout the event because, that's another thing. You're not really meant to be taking photos.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really meant to even have your phone out. There are people who go around taking photos, and they usually are great. However, you do have to get lucky. And there's been a couple of times where I'm like, I've gotten one good photo, and I felt bad. So I always get a photo shoot done, and it's great crack.
Yeah, it's good.
Cian
and it also
kind enough to invite me to one, and it was great. Looking at it now and comparing the kit I wore to that and just the kit I've made since, it's like I wish I'd had this tabard back then, but it's like it was still great fun to go and do the photo shoot.
We're gonna do another one. I do at every event, like.
Yeah. So definitely the new player ones, and again, keep an eye out. Have a look for your nation's Discord and Facebook groups. Join them. Ask questions. Get involved in the conversations. Nobody is going to kick you out of those Discords for asking questions. Like, that's what they're there for. You will have very experienced players that will debate something and ask each other questions about, but does that thing not mean this, and does it not? Everyone's in the same boat. Cool. Well, I think we're near the end, so let's get into any other important advice. So I touched on the egregores before and how important they are. They are a beacon of information and guidance. Seek them out. My advice would be...
I didn't actually go and find the one for Dawn at my first event. I need to do that next time.
Yeah, even if it's just to go, I would recommend, if you can, try to go and speak to them either on the Friday evening or sometime mid-morning on the Saturday, if after the fight. Purely because you want to introduce yourself as a new player. They will immediately go, okay, welcome. They will welcome you to the nation, and you can ask them questions. You can ask them, hey, I'm looking for something to do. Do you have anything for me to do? Do you need any help? Can I be of assistance? They will give you little snippets of game for you to just run off and do. You can go to them and go, hey, this thing happened. I'm really not sure what that meant. And they will explain it. Right? In character, but they are a font of information and guidance, and that's what they're there to do. So please utilize them if you're stuck.
Yeah, I am realizing as we're having this conversation, and Egregore did straight up come to me and two lads and were like, fully give us plot. And we just thought, this person's just drinking with us and telling us about their weird dreams. They have introduced themselves as an Egregore, but hey, it's just talking about weird dreams. We all have weird dreams. I'm like, no, this was plot.
Yeah. That is what they're there to do. Like,
brilliant.
I've spoken to. I was very fortunate that after time out on the Saturday when I was very drunk, I was trying to find firewood, and I actually spoke to and found some guy selling a log, and he was going to chop it for me. We got talking, and he was one of the principal game designers for Empire, and he literally told me, it was like, "How many times have you spoken to your Egregore this weekend?" And I went, "Once, to sell him materials," and he went, "Go speak to them again. If you can, speak to them every day." Because as soon as they know that you're willing to go and speak to them, they will recognize your face and give you game. They will give you plot. They will give you things to do. And it just means that you're not stuck trying to figure stuff out. So utilize them. Absolutely. Any other advice, folks?
Have fun.
I'm gonna give you go. Okay, what do you say?
Have fun.
That's a very good one.
Yeah.
Probably the most important one actually is to have fun.
Yeah.
But actually tying into that, something we've talked about on one of the other episodes, I'm pretty sure, not one of the lost episodes, but pretty sure we're talking about the episodes before about a common piece of player advice. One that I fully ignored is don't come with a massive plan for your first event. Maybe plan to see a few people, talk to a few people, but come with the idea that your first event will be a time to learn about the event, to wander around, to see things. I do not regret what I did, but it was exhausting. And as I've said so many times, I saw so little of Anvil as a whole because I was so busy. I'm never going to get to see Navarre in the way it was at the last event because we're moving to a new location. It's not going to look the same. It's going to take years before they have a proper forest. And like all I ever heard was how beautiful that looked at night with the flyers lit. But I was just so goddamn busy. I never got a chance to see it. And I was kind of like, well, I'm never going to see it. Yeah. But I still wouldn't change anything I did because I did some cool fucking shit. But still.
Yeah.
I mean, you could always go to Mentor's Fate.
Yeah.
I would also say, like, for just kind of say yes to things. Don't be afraid to go and ask questions. The silent Aragorn type smoking a pipe in the corner, not speaking to anyone, looking mysterious, will have a worse time than the person getting a little bit drunk going, "Hey, who are you?" Like, say yes to things. Go and approach people. Like, if you see an interesting camp setup and you're like, "Oh shit, that looks cool," walk over and go, "Hey, can I join you?" Like 99% of the time they'll go, "Sure, sit down. Who are you?" Like, don't be afraid to go and chase stuff. Go and ask questions. Like, if you see something that like appeals to you, go and have a look. Like, on the Saturday night, I was walking Charlie, one of our friends, to a wedding party that their character was going to in the league. Walked past a tent and people were playing poker in the tent. And I went, "Charlie, I'll be back in half an hour." Sat down, played a few hands of poker, walked out with a little bit more money than I'd walked in with, and carried on my night. Like, just go and have some fun. Like, go see stuff that you enjoy. You walk past a bar and you'll hear music, live music that people are playing. Go and have a look. Just follow your nose. Do what you want to do for the weekend. No one is telling you that you can't, basically.
I actually do have some advice. I'm not sure if it's good or not. Feel free to argue with people. Feel free to get in someone's face. Feel free to go, "Hey, I really did not like what you did on the Glory Square. That was bullshit." Feel free to be a prick. Then always check in afterwards to make sure the person's okay. But feel free to embrace everything about your character, not just the nice stuff. Be a bit of a dick at times.
It was actually one of my favorite pieces of advice that was given to us by one of the PD organizers. I did the new player events. I went to a load of different ones. I think it might have been the military council one where they were talking about how military council works. And the guy told us, like, military council in general is very boring. If you go, you're going to be very bored. But if you do get bored, so bored that you want to leave, my only recommendation is don't just get up and go. Get up, flip a chair, flip a table, scream about how you're not standing for this, and then storm out, because that's much more interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, if you are going to argue with people, if you are going to do things like that, just don't be a dickhead and walk off and leave them in a position where they're going, well, that was mean. Like, check in with them later and kind of go, that was cool, right? I'm sorry, was that okay? Like, just be, absolutely have arguments, shout at people, do what you need to do, but just be respectful of other people while you do it, because there is nothing worse than seeing two people argue, one person walk off from that argument and the other person to cry because they don't know whether it was their friend who was mad at them or if it was the character that had just had feelings about certain things, right? So just check in.
I literally came back off a skirmish, and the one thing I was told to do on that skirmish was keep this person alive, and me and the other people from the lance were there just to keep this person alive. And then one of the guys, as soon as the battle started, ran off, starting to try and kill the enemies. The other two of us who were there yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The other two of us were like, I thought we need to protect this guy, so we came off, and he was like, the guy we were protecting and the guy who ran off, they knew each other a bit more than I knew both of them, so they start having a go at each other, and one of them leans into us and is like, hey, can I you swear at you? And he's like, yeah, fine. So he gets a bit rowdy with him, swearing at him, and then I lean over and go, hey, can I swear at you as well? And he goes, yeah, and I made it go, what the fuck were you doing out there at the top of my lungs? We just start yelling at this guy. And then once it all calms down, the other guy, the first one who asked the same question, leans over to me and goes, you're going to fit in well here.
But that's all it's about, right? Have fun. Everyone's there for the same reasons. The last little tidbit that I think we should leave it on is, this is your experience. It's nobody else's. Whatever you think that you want to do at the weekend is perfectly acceptable for you to go and do. It is, however, your responsibility to make sure that you're safe doing it, that you're respectful and polite to the other people around you, and that you put yourself first when it comes to fun, because nobody is coming 100%. To this event to have fun for you. Go find your own fun in whatever form that is. And you will find people and you will find a place for yourself at Empire. It's one of the most welcoming environments that I've ever found. Right, this has been a very, very long episode, fellas. I think we should wrap it up here.
As part of the wrap up, I was going to say, obviously, this is all the stuff that we thought would be useful for new players. If there's anything else that you want us to talk about, anything from a new player's perspective, or any other topic you would like to see us deep dive into, let us come and join us in the Discord, send us an email, let us know what you'd like to hear more about. If you think there are other topics we should cover as part of a new player intro part 2 Electric Boogaloo, let us know. We might do, if there's enough to fill an episode, we'll do another episode like this and just run through things you might need to know as a new player, or tell us a topic you want us to talk about. We have plenty more that we plan on doing, but obviously if you let us know something, that gives us a direction to go.
Also, in the future, we do plan on sharing some of our own stories and getting other people to come in and talk about detailed topics that are just a tiny bit more complicated.
To help with that, we'll be bringing on guests to tell some of their own stories, hopefully related to some of those more complicated subjects too. So if you attend Empire, have an interesting story to tell, and perhaps some expertise in a specific aspect of the game, and would like to join us for a chat, reach out to us.
Yeah, and on that, I mean, if you're not the type of person that feels comfortable being on camera, or you're not as confident as you'd like to be in like your recording setup and stuff, that's totally fine as well. You can just send us your stories and we can read them out for you. So you can send us a summary in our Discord, or you can reach out to us at our email address, which is talesfromanvil@gmail.com, and we'll read them out for you, because we would love to hear your stories as well.
I've been Cian, and you can follow me on social media at Cian.Scully or Cian/Scully, something along those lines, on like Instagram or TikTok. They'll all be in the doobie-doo at the bottom. And I stream every 2 weeks on Emerald Collective in a game called Adventures in Andromedus. And hopefully by the time we get these out, or soon after, I will be doing a Fallout stream, Fallout TTRPG specifically, a YouTube game for the Emerald Collective as well.
Very nice. I've been Jordan. You can catch me online at Always Ready to Roll GM. I'm the DM for the Modified Roll podcast, and I've started doing a lot of my own bits of content where I share some of the things I've been making. Like if we're talking about some of the stuff I've been making for Empire, you can see some photos on my Instagram of the bits I've been making for that. I'm also a professional GM in my spare time if you're looking for someone to run a D&D game. And I've been guesting on a few shows recently, so go and find me online somewhere. I'm sure you'll find something I've been on recently.
And I am Dan. You will find me all over the internet, especially in the D&D spaces. I'm also a professional GM, but if you want a game running, absolutely reach out to Jordan. I've stepped away from that space for a little while, just for my mental sanity. Cool. Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you are a new player and you're still with us, you will find our referral codes in the description below. Please pick one. It helps you out with a little bit of a discount. It also helps us out on our next ticket as well. So please make sure that you use those referral links down below. Next time we talk, I can't remember what we're talking about next.
I don't think we've picked a topic yet, have we?
Let's have it flash up
Yes.
on the
Something
screen.
Yeah, we're going to talk about
Once
this
we decided.
down here. Boom.
Talk about
Yeah,
this.
whatever this is.
Yeah, whatever that is there. Yeah, in this space
Yeah.
down here. Yeah.
In this space, yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next time. It's been a pleasure. Take care.
See you soon.
Slán.